Picture this: July 30th, 1863, a beautiful day in Dearborn, Michigan. The day an American engineer and innovator was born. The day Henry Ford was born. Henry Ford's creation of the Model T sparked a revolution in personal transport, dramatically changing the landscape of American society and altering the way people live their lives. Henry Ford, the making of an empire. It all started when Henry Ford was a young farm boy, and he wanted to find a way to make it easier and faster for farmers to haul goods to the market. Fast forward, and it's the early 1890s, and Henry Ford has just started tinkering and messing around with parts to try and make a motorized vehicle, or what people called a horseless carriage. Henry Ford was considered an oddity because people in America were not too fond of the whole motorized vehicle idea yet. On June 4th, 1896, just 6 years later, Ford had shined a light and given hope to his car ideas, as he had just created what would be his first of many cars, the quadricycle. The quadricycle was nothing special compared to today's cars. This vehicle was just a simple motor, pair of axles, two seats, bicycle wheels, and only weighed 500 pounds without fuel. The quadricycle did not have a steering wheel. Instead, it had a steering tiller, which is a bar that you turn side to side to steer. The quadricycle only had a top speed of 20 miles per hour and had two modes, one where you go 10 miles per hour and one where you go 20 miles per hour. 7 years later, when 1903 rolled around, Henry Ford created the Ford Motor Company. Ford did not fool around and got to work right away, hiring two people he thought were fit for the job, John and Horace Dodge, also known as the Dodge brothers. Henry Ford wasn't done there. He needed to find a way to produce cars fast, and he found just the thing. Chicago's meat packing assembly line would work perfectly for Ford. Ford had turned it into a car making assembly line, and it had worked terrifically. Ford still wasn't done yet, though. Still in his first year, Ford made and released 1,719 '03 Ford Model A's for the public to buy. Not many were sold, but it was a good start for the young company. The reason the Model A did not sell well is mainly because of price. The car had a price of $750 or $26,285 in today's money. The average monthly income for someone in 1903 was $300 or $10,514 in today's money, which is not enough to buy a Ford Model A. Since this monthly income was used to buy everyday needs, it was hard for people to save this money to buy a car. Henry Ford did not realize this for a while and went on to make the models B, C, F, K, N, R, and S. And they all had one thing in common: a very high price. But that was all about to change. On October 1st, 1908, at the Pequot plant in Detroit, Henry Ford astonished the public when he revealed something that would change America forever. As he pulled the cover off the car, camera lights started flashing as a car that would revolutionize America was being revealed. The cover came off, and out came the Ford Model T. Now, the early models of the Model T all had the same issues that the models before it had: a very high price. The early models of the Model T had a price of $950 or $33,295 in today's money. In the later years of the Model T, the price had dropped to $360 or $12,617 in today's money, making it much more affordable to the everyday person. As each year passed, the Model T's price dropped. Each time it dropped, more cars were sold. With a starting price of $950 and only selling 12,000 cars that year, Henry Ford knew he needed to drop the price. So it went to $360 7 years later, and you sold 577,000 cars that year. In 1910, people had started moving to the suburbs because of the Model T. Before the Model T was made, people had to live near their jobs because there was not many kinds of transportation. So when the Model T came out, they were able to move farther away from their job. This allowed the cities to expand and grow. The Ford Model T could only be purchased in black from 1914 to 1925, but before and after that, it could be purchased in red, blue, green, or gray. The Model T was also known for its nickname, the Tin Lizzie. In 1918, Henry Ford resigned as president and passed it on to his son, Edsel Ford. On May 26, 1927, the last Model T ever made rolls off the assembly line and ends an amazing era of cars. When America entered World War II in 1941, the Ford Motor Company was forced to stop car production and make planes for the Army. Ford had produced half of the planes used in World War II. The plane was the B-22 Liberator. They allowed America to destroy factories, railroads, and so much more. During the midst of the war, on May 26, 1943, Edsel Ford dies of stomach cancer. This was devastating for Henry Ford, as his son had died at the age of 49, but the company had to find a new leader soon. So Henry Ford did what he thought was the best thing to do. He became the president of Ford again. On April 7th, 1947, just 4 years after his son, Edsel Ford, died, Henry Ford dies at the age of 83. He will be remembered as someone who took a risk to make America a better place. Ford has paved the way for all car manufacturers like Dodge, Chevrolet, Toyota, Honda, and many more. Ford has come to be one of the best-selling car brands in America and all over the world. Ford has been around for 121 years. Thanks to Henry Ford and the Model T.